What is up, guys? Welcome back to Fit Body Secrets, where my mission is to bring you guys inspiration, motivation, and a ton of tips to help you guys on your fitness journey. And today's episode is something that was actually, I've got two main topics and they kind of go hand in hand. So it was actually sparked because I had a client check in yesterday and we were talking a little bit about, excuse me, I am still dealing with this congestion from this cold that I've had for 3 freaking weeks, which is on its tail end. I swear. It's just like the last lingering little bit of stuff in my lungs. Isn't that wonderful? You guys hear about on your Friday. Anyways, so we were talking about Easter, and she was mentioning how she really wants to be able to eat freely on Easter, but feels that she's worried it's going to set her back like it did around Christmas time. In which case, it really sparked me to think about this concept of free eating and what that actually looks like and how perception is everything. And I really hope this episode helps a lot of you guys out there because it's something that I know for myself. When I broke up with this concept of free eating and what that looked like, I shouldn't say broke up with the concept, but shift my mindset around it, I realized how much better life can be, but also was able to finally adhere to my diet to get the results that I wanted. And now I feel like I can eat freely any day of the week. And that's not something that's earned by being lean. It's something that's earned by changing your mindset. And, and with that being said, it's like whenever I'm talking to clients about like, hey, I know you want to achieve this goal and you want it fast, but the real truth is that any goal you achieve is going to be short-lived if you don't develop the stuff necessary in order to maintain it. And there are some goals in life that are short-lived, right? Like you step on a podium, you're not going to be stepping on a podium every single workout in the gym, but you want to be able to have those things sprinkled in. So with fat loss, it's very different. The goal isn't to just achieve fat loss to be skinny for a day or to be lean for a day. It's to actually be able to stop having to worry about your weight and to finally find a way to maintain that. And so when we realize that, we have to be able to understand how we need to be free to eat whatever we want, whenever we want. That's how we're going to get the best benefit from any nutrition program that we follow. So if you get value out of this episode, particularly because, like I said, this is something that's really dear to my own heart, please shoot me a message, shoot me a DM, let me know that you're listening. I do this podcast primarily just for education purposes to help you guys out and obviously, hopefully, to give you guys some things to think about in your own journey, because I've been there and have struggled with feeling defeated and frustrated and wondering what I was doing so differently than everybody else, that I wasn't getting results. And there's a lot of things I can talk about that were going wrong on my end, but also just not knowing the right things. And that's what I'm here for. So if you get value out of this episode or you want to talk to me specifically about your specific goals, please shoot me a message. I would love to be able to guide you as much as I can. But let's kind of dive right into free eating. And I'm going to start by talking about how I am so sorry. I'm going to just keep coughing and apologizing the entire time. Let's talk about this concept of eating freely. And there's really two ways to view, well, there's probably more than two ways, but I'm going to discuss two ways of viewing what it looks like to eat freely. And I'm going to talk to you guys specifically that are struggling with maybe losing 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds, 50 pounds plus, and you're trying to find a way to be able to enjoy eating the things you want to eat while still seeing results. Okay. So here is the concept of free eating that I think most dieters, or I should say anybody looking to lose weight, are primarily conditioned to believe. Essentially, what they believe free eating is it's like they are on a eating plan, they're following a clean eating thing, or they're following a diet plan, and free eating is actually the break from that plan where they're just able to take a day and just like, you know what, I'm freely eating whatever I want, or a week. They're just freely eating everything that they want. And it's typically including the foods that they've maybe cut out from their diet. It's the things that they don't typically eat on a Monday, and they kind of use this free eating strategy as a way to like, I just want to be able to eat those things and not feel guilty about them. And they present this as a way of like, oh, it's like a reset. And I literally just talked about cheat meals with one of my coaches on Wednesday. It's like, they see this as like, oh, it's my free day. I'm going to be free and I'm free to eat whatever I want. And they look at this like it has to be this like confined thing to this one day or this one meal or this one food. And they're just like really looking at free eating as being this day or this time in their life where they're just not thinking about food. Well, in reality, if you think about this, is that really free eating? Because if you're telling yourself you're eating freely, but you can only eat freely for this one time, aren't you really living in a world of restriction, and that this free eating is a break from that restriction? Because that's more likely the problem, that you've conditioned yourself to believe that in order for you to achieve these goals, you have to have this restrictive eating plan, or that you have to be so dialed in that you can't eat things that you enjoy. You basically tell yourself that these foods are not allowed, and that makes you feel like you have to have breaks from your diet to be able to quote unquote eat freely. And I'm sure many people out there can relate to this mindset, and how it often triggers a thought around, well, I just ate so freely, so now I'm going to clean things up and diet again. And then chances are, like many people, you run into this world of essentially canceling out your hard effort. You work really hard only to eat freely and throw it all away. Not to mention the havoc you are wreaking on your metabolism. So, this is how a lot of people view free eating. They view it as this a temporary thing, like it's something that we only do intermittently. I'm going to shift your perception a little bit, and I'm going to talk to you about a different way to think about eating freely. Let me take a sip of my coffee first, though. All right. So, if I'm going to be honest, the type of free eating I just described, as I said, should honestly be relabeled restrictive eating, with free eating built into it somewhere, right? It's really a restrictive eating pattern that you tell yourself you need breaks from to eat freely. I'm going to present to you a better way of learning how to eat freely. What if free eating was knowing that you could have whatever food you wanted whenever you wanted it? Meaning, if you woke up today and you really wanted to have a donut for breakfast, you could have a donut for breakfast. If you decided this afternoon you wanted to go out for sushi for lunch, you could go out and have sushi for lunch. If you decided this afternoon you wanted to make steak and some homemade French fries and some asparagus with your husband for a nice dinner and have some red wine, you could do that. And you could also decide to have some dessert after dinner. And you could also still achieve the results you want for yourself. Doesn't that sound a lot more like free eating? That you actually are eating what you want when you want it, versus feeling like you have to eat freely on one specific day, or that day, because you're already eating some foods that you want, that you should probably get more of those things in because you're going back to your diet on Monday. Okay. I talk about this stuff a lot, I know, but it's so important to reinforce. What if free eating was simply knowing you have the freedom to eat whatever you want whenever you want it? That's free eating. And guess what? You don't have to follow a diet plan to make the decision right now to say, I eat freely. But I'm going to go into some intricacies about this, and where you have to understand a little bit more about how this plays a role in the goals you set for yourself. All right. So, when you give yourself permission to eat whatever you want, whenever you want, don't you think it's a lot easier to make decisions around food? Because you no longer feel like it's going to be the last time you're going to experience having chicken wings or having a cookie. You no longer feel the need to get those foods in abundance, because you can have them whenever you want. And I love giving the analogy or the situation to think about is, I mean, I don't have kids, but I've seen this a lot. In fact, I experienced it as growing up as the oldest of 3 children. Is you don't want something until somebody else has it. So you have like 3 kids, right? And you give a kid a toy and they're not interested, but all of a sudden the brother is playing with the toy and now the other one wants it because the other kid has it, right? When you're telling yourself you can't have something, it's the same thing. You now want that even more. So learning how to eat freely comes down to understanding that every food you put in your body is a choice. Every food decision you make is a choice. And you are free to make those decisions independent of anybody else, any judgments, and we're going to go into this as part 2 of today's topic. But when you eat freely, you don't feel restricted. You are actually looking at food very differently. And this is where I'm going to go into how this is relevant to those of you guys out there that are also looking to achieve goals. Okay. If you see meal prepping, a nice salad with some chicken and some dressing and maybe a whole grain pita and some fruit as restrictive, you're going to feel and perceive effort. If instead you're like, oh, I'm looking forward to my salad. It's going to be so good. I love that dressing that I put on it. It just hits differently with the feta cheese. And you are actually building meals that are, enjoyable to you. That's free eating. Free eating is saying, I know that I can have the donut, but I actually really want to have oats this morning. It's really understanding that choice is yours. But I think what happens is people are so conditioned to think that they have to adhere to these super strict, rigid, bland, boring diets that they don't allow themselves to build meals that are enjoyable to them. And it makes them feel restricted. When you flip the mindset to realize that, you actually enjoy eating the food you're eating, you are freely choosing your foods. That is why when people ask me, are you going to write me a meal plan? No, I'm going to help you write your own meal plan. Because I want people to look at their food and say, and I help them with this. All right, I see the foods you like. Let's try and make these little tweaks to keep things the way you like them, but just get you to feel like you're getting the right nutrients in for your goals. That's free eating. Free eating is understanding that you have the choice. This is so important for you guys to understand this concept. And I'm going to keep saying that because here's the other problem is you go out on a Saturday night and you want to eat freely. Okay. When you're eating freely all week, it's no different than eating freely on a Tuesday night. So that means you might be looking for a salad with some steak on it, maybe instead of chicken, because you don't like to meal prep steak because you don't like the way it tastes cold. That's me. Okay. You'd rather have a warm steak. So that's eating freely. That's totally fine. It might be obviously getting something that you wouldn't typically cook at home. That's okay. Like I said, you are free to make those decisions. Okay. This is going to help you guys so much on your journey because when you break up with the mindset that you have to save foods for a specific free eating situation, you will be more compliant with your diet on a daily basis. When you shift your thought process to, I'm restricting myself right now to lose weight, into I am fueling my body to feel my best, I now don't feel the urge to freely eat whatever I want because I'm freely eating whatever I want, whatever I want. And the second piece of this is understanding that, if you are constantly trying to adhere to diets that are drastically dropping your calorie intake and drastically making dietary changes that are not sustainable for you, you are going to feel restricted. Okay. The other cool thing about this is that free eating also gives you the ability to choose the goals you have for yourself over the food that's in front of you. Okay. I don't like this. I like this terminology or this quote, but I don't love this quote because I think that some people can really take it to extremes. Okay. And I'm just going to say it. Nothing ever tastes as good as being lean feels. I've heard something like that. And I don't want people to think that it's all about getting a 6-pack of abs or losing 30 pounds, that life is way bigger than that. But the truth is, if you have these goals and you're tired of being uncomfortable in your skin, I've been there. In fact, I made an Instagram post today about, I remember, I can relate to sitting there in my closet, throwing different clothes on the floor and ending up with my entire freaking wardrobe on the floor, trying to find one shirt that didn't make me look fat. Okay. I remember feeling that way. Okay. But when you're ready to break up with that, it's not just going into this restrictive pattern. Okay. What free eating allows you to do is also make the decision to say, right now, I know I can have whatever I want whenever I want it, but I'm going to choose the foods right now that are going to help keep me in check for my goals, allow me to feel satiated so I don't tend to overeat, because I know when I eat really dense things, they don't satisfy my hunger. It allows you to make decisions based on your body's needs. My body does not need a small little slice of pizza when I am on a diet, when I am on a fat loss phase. I need bulk food. This is me talking to you guys personally. I cannot cut weight eating little portions. I am going to look for large voluminous portions. I will push more vegetables into my diet. I will choose the low carb tortillas just so I can have 3 of them versus 1, because that's who I am. I want to eat more food. I want to feel more satiated. Okay. You get to make those choices. And that is why I full-heartedly believe in a flexible dieting approach. I don't believe in quote unquote macro counting and clean eating and all this. I really full-heartedly believe in flexible dieting. And I can go into what that is, but I want to kind of segue into keep focusing on this free eating topic right now, because it's really what's important to me. And it's the second piece of this topic that I'm going to go into right now. Okay. Here's the other piece of free eating that people have to understand. And I'm going to also tie back in free versus restrictive eating. Okay. We are very influenced by the people around us, their comments, their thoughts, what they're doing. And all of those things tend to make us feel a certain way about what we're doing. I'm sure you guys can all relate to that. Okay. When you are looking to achieve a goal, you are free to do the work to achieve that goal. Nobody else has the right to take that from you. Okay. So that might mean for you, you're invited out to dinner on a Friday night. Great. Where are we going? We're going to, there's going to call a chain restaurant. We're going to Benihana's. Ooh. Okay. I'm going to come. You're going to go. You want to be social. You also don't, maybe you were 2 weeks into your journey and you are a little nervous about like, oh, how am I going to eat? Like, what am I going to do? Free eating always isn't just, it's Benihana's, I'm going to have whatever I want. Free eating is also saying, I really want to go. I don't really care about the food there, but I'm going to go and eat because I want to be there, but I also want to work towards my goals. So maybe you look ahead at the restaurant menu and you're like, I'm going to get an order from the kitchen because I'm going to ask for it steamed, or I'm going to get something a little bit lighter. Maybe I'm going to get some sushi and some sashimi just to really avoid the freaking half a stick of butter that they put in my sole plate of food. Whatever you want to do. Free eating could also be fitting that in if you choose to. But I'm going to say, for instance, you are that person that shows up and you're like, I plan to have, some white rice. I'm going to have, the shrimp hibachi, and I'm going to ask them like to not put so much butter in mine. You're going to be a little bit more of a safer eater. You get 3 people at the table like, are you on a diet? And you're suddenly like, whoa, actually, I'm actually been seeing some results and I've been losing some weight and I'm feeling really good. And I want to come out, but I just honestly would like to try and avoid like overdoing it tonight. Wow. Okay. Or maybe they're like, oh, come on, it's just Friday night. Like, you're already going to feel a certain way because they're like questioning your diet. Okay. But free eating is knowing that you made that choice for you, whatever the choice was. If you chose to go all in on the hibachi or you chose a safer route, that is your choice. What everybody else at that table is doing, what comments they say to you, does not matter. And I fucking hate this for people because there is such a judgment double standard. Okay. Like I really value fitness. I love working out. I also like feeling good in my workout. So I don't like going into a workout after getting 4 hours of sleep on a Friday night because I was out drinking alcohol and then showing up to the gym Sunday or Saturday morning, still smelling like it and feeling like shit. That's just not something that I value. I value 8 hours of sleep, going to the gym, feeling refreshed and feeling productive on my Saturday. I'd much rather go to the gym and be able to get outside and do something fun. Or honestly, I like doing fun chores around my house, like projects. Like I don't value that life. But you get so many double standards. Oh, like she's the girl that like doesn't go out at night because she is in the gym. Why do you work out so much? You're already lean. Why does it matter? Because I value that, because this is my life and I'm living it the way I want to. And maybe that's not eating related, but eating is a part of that. You know, maybe at a potluck, I'm choosing the healthier options. So fucking what? Right? That goes for all of you guys out there. That doesn't mean you're not enjoying yourself. Making the right food decisions for yourself has nothing to do with the enjoyment of the situation, unless you are telling yourself that you are restricting yourself from enjoying that situation. That is when it becomes restrictive. Plain and simple. So when it comes down to restrictive eating versus free eating, the real problem isn't the food around you. It's how you're viewing how you're eating on a daily basis. You're either telling yourself the nutritional choices you make are for you and you are on track with a goal, or you are living the life that makes you feel your best, or you are choosing the food decisions based around some restrictive protocol, whether you are restricting yourselves to feel like you have to do what everybody else is doing to fit in. That is restrictive, believe it or not. You might be eating junk food, and that might be free food, but you're doing it not from a place of self-care. You're doing it from a place of but peer pressure, of acceptance of others, because everybody else is doing it. Now you're going to do it. So when it comes to making decisions around eating freely, you have to ask yourself, what do I really want? What am I trying to achieve with this meal? What is going to make me happy? Is this food really making me happy, or is it just passing time? Now, there are going to be times where the food is the experience and you should totally enjoy it, but enjoy it freely, not with the mindset of, oh, this is my free day and I'm back on the restrictive eating plan on Monday. Okay, because that's not the point. For instance, this weekend's going to be Easter. Okay, you should be able to just not think about food that day if you choose to. If you just want to be able to be with your friends and family and eat a meal and whatever, that's free eating. It's not, oh, this is my free day, let me get everything in. If you decide that you freely want to still, count your macros that day, that's your free will. And so I'm going to finalize this episode by talking about free will and willpower. So maybe there is a third part of this, is I think people focus so much on lack of willpower, feeling like they need more willpower to be consistent. And they don't need more willpower. They don't. They need free will. You need to be able to say, every decision I make is a decision for me. But with that comes the acceptance of the consequences. And I say consequences, not just from a negative, but consequences can be goods, if you want to call them results, is every action you take is going to have a reaction. So when you give yourself free will and you tell yourself, I really want this, free eating is making the decision to say, I really want this goal to happen for me. I know that I don't have to follow a restrictive diet plan to do that, but I also know that right now I can say no thank you to these foods because I really want to see this goal happen for myself. And I'm going to end this episode by really just harping in on when I say that the approach you take to lose weight, to see those goals happen for yourself, needs to be sustainable. And that is why if you don't know where to start and you find yourself in these situations where you don't know how to eat and you keep telling yourself that you have to follow a restrictive plan to achieve that, reach out to me. And I'm going to be honest, when it comes to chasing fat loss, you are going to have to make some changes, right? We are going to have to, we're not going to get a different result if we keep doing the same things that we're doing. But the second piece of this, the changes that most people need to make are much less extreme than they realize. And the things that they're focusing on are much less extreme than they realize. Okay. So I really hope this episode hit home for some of you guys out there. I really felt passionate about bringing it to you guys today. If you guys want to talk more about this topic, please feel free to reach out to me. That's pretty much it, guys. Happy Easter weekend. Happy Good Friday. And I will talk to you all soon.